Hi. So I'm the one who made a video the other day asking if the Kardashians could possibly be the new televangelists and asking the internet, are they doomsday preppers? Well, the more I look into it, the more I feel like the meme of Charlie, this meme, this is me, I'm Charlie. And that's a little joint right there because wow. So I don't have any degrees in religion or anything like that. I grew up in the South around a bunch of religious extremists, and there are just some things that I started to notice that were similar to the Kardashians. Yes, I knew that they had a church for tax shelter purposes, and I knew about Kanye's Sunday service, but I mean, this is just total assumption, but there are a lot of connections, the more I look into it. And then this is kind of a side tangent. I used to be friends with this guy named Jake Bronstein. He was on MTV for a while, but when I knew him, he was a journalist. And during the time we were friends, he was going out to interview people who had won the lottery and subsequently made bunkers and doomsday prepped for themselves because they had all this money now. But all these people lived in Alabama and Louisiana. I kind of took that information and started looking at the Kardashians through that lens and noticed a lot of similarities between those people. My original video had a lot of people turning into that lady from, Wife Swap, who was like, she's not a Christian. They were really freaking out. But the Kardashians consistently talk about their spirituality. I mean, Khloe posts memes of spiritual memes and Bible verses every time something happens with her. So it's we know that they are spiritual, but a lot of people were like, they're not evangelical, but they kind of are. And then I found this on Wikipedia, and it proves that there are Armenian evangelicals. And it's really just about being Christian and spreading the word of God through your lifestyle. That's one of the types of evangelical Christians. And I said this in a different video, yes, Kim had a sex tape, but what better way to show you are a born again or your faith is renewed or you've turned your life around than to be a billionaire and share that wealth with your entire family, right? And have all these kids and live in abundance under God or whatever. And then I found this, just from a Google search, but there are Armenian evangelical churches in Hollywood, so there could be a connection. I don't know. What do you think? Okay, I have a couple of thoughts on the Kardashians that I just need to share. Love them or hate them, these are a group collectively that are hoarding billions of dollars and letting us see inside of their lives, which no other, think about any other billionaires. They're so private. Also, I have definitely noticed that Khloe, her mom, and the other ones looking for houses are building compounds. They're making it sound oh, Kylie has a couple of chickens. It's obviously the pandemic freaked a lot of people out, but with their wealth, they are legitimately making compounds, sharing property lines with the mother. All of this stuff is very interesting to see. And the way that we view it is also just very interesting. Also, everyone seems to be surprised to see Pete popping up doing more mainstream stuff. It's very clear that Kim has made it, she needs to have someone who's on her level. So she's going to make Pete her level. Her mom, I believe, is starting to represent Pete. And finally, people seem to forget that this family are evangelical Christians. Think about the evangelical Christians from the South and how they hoard wealth and take tithings and things like that. Not very far off from what happens here. Also, as of just a few years ago, they were members of the Hillsong church, which I don't hear people bringing up as much as they bring it up with Chris Pratt, but the Kardashians were Hillsong people. So I don't know, just my musings about the Kardashians after watching some of the new series. There's a lot to talk about, obviously, but those are just my thoughts.
So happy to see you guys. We were raised with a lot of faith, and I think that knowing that this is God's plan, babies in the Bible are always considered such a blessing. God gives you what you need,
not what you want,
yeah,
and sometimes more than you dreamed of.
Yes, amen.
I'm so excited to meet this baby. I don't know why, but I'm gonna cry.
Oh my gosh, why are you gonna cry?
Because I'm just really happy for you.
You look like it.
Okay, so this is just me baked speculating, but are the Kardashians basically the new televangelists? Like, really, when we look at the Kardashians compared to, like, let's say Jim and Tammy Baker, they're gonna have obviously very different styles, but look at the sum of their parts. Like, the Kardashians are on television selling a lifestyle. Jim and Tammy sold the lifestyle of, you know, if you are Christian, if you devote yourself to God, you can have all of these riches on earth, you know, that kind of thing. And televangelists, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you saw them on TV all the time. And then that kind of dwindled out. People were not really watching that anymore because they were just tithing to people on TV, essentially. But look at the Kardashians. Yes, Kim talks about her sex tape more in this new series, but what better way to sell a born-again lifestyle than to say, look where I've come from and now I'm a billionaire. And not only am I a billionaire, but I get to share that wealth with my family, with my siblings, with all of the children that we have. Like, I just feel like there is a comparison to make between Kim, who sells makeup, and Tammy Faye, who also sold makeup. I'm not saying that it's a direct line, but there could be comparisons to be made. Okay, y'all asked for it. Here's some more. So a lot of people seem surprised that I would put the Kardashians in more of a religious context. But you have to remember, at the end of the day, Kim has spent the last few years being a preacher's wife. I was really surprised to see this picture of Kim, North, Kanye, and Joel Osteen, one of the most notorious televangelist mega pastors from a mega church that we've seen in modern age. In fact, it looks like multiple news publications have confused Kanye and Kim's house with Joel Osteen's house because they're so similar. Isn't that kind of weird? Here's a picture of the houses side by side. I could definitely see where people would mix these two up, but the conspiracy theorist in me thinks, okay, so Joel Osteen is a preacher that talks a lot about the end of the world. He benefits a lot from talking about, you know, doomsday kind of evangelicalism. And he probably has a bunker in this house, like set up under his house. So wouldn't it be convenient if Kim and Kanye, when they were building their house, like used some of the same information to build their own bunker? Okay, that's just conspiracy. I mean, it's crazy, right? I don't know. Maybe it's not so wild to think about. But maybe it's not so wild to think about because Cassie Marie and I were just on live and she was telling me about this whole other element of Lou Taylor and Britney Spears and how Britney Spears was possibly unknowingly funding some of these churches that are owned by some of these people while she was in her conservatorship. And then Cassie Marie got banned from going live while we were just talking about conservatorships. I don't know. Y'all, this is getting weird. You know, so many people talk about the rhythm and the cadence in which the Kardashians speak. And I know it's kind of regional, but they definitely have popularized it and made it their own. And a lot of people talk about that when they talk about the Kardashians. But like, think about if we compare it to televangelists who are standing at the pulpit speaking for long periods of time. They also have a rhythm and a cadence about their voice. I mean, all of this is to mesmerize you in order to extract money from you in some way, shape, or form, to make you feel a bit lesser than. So you tithe to them a certain percentage of your income so you can be more like them. Maybe you've heard an older generation of people say, oh, he's got rhythm or she's got rhythm, talking about how someone speaks, because it can be mesmerizing and almost trick you into believing certain things or following certain people or being mesmerized very simply by someone. And I've just never really seen that comparison with how they speak and how other people like religious leaders or televangelists kind of do a similar thing where it's mesmerizing to see. No disrespect to this person or anyone else who commented, I thought they were Catholic, But you're telling me that they get married in Italy, and in all of Italy, where the Vatican is, they couldn't find one Italian priest to officiate their wedding. They had to fly in this pastor from Hillsong, who started his own church, but he's still part of Hillsong, to officiate the wedding in Italy. Catholic Italy.
Remember, the Lord is watching you.
Includes members of the Kardashian family, and Travis Scott was built off the back of Britney Spears.
Okay, I'm having some I told y'all moments today, but Cassie, Marie, and I told y'all. And when we were talking about this on live, about how Lou Taylor was making Britney tithe, and there were all these ties to conservatorships and the Kardashian-church, that's when Cassie got banned. Very interesting. The scary part about this is these are some of the most famous people in the world, like with Britney, and we're seeing the outcome of her conservatorship. But think about all of the people with disabilities who are in conservatorships that you are not seeing them have forcefully tithe to these types of churches that launder their money. They're washing their money through the churches.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
This second season of Kardashians just feels like you're watching an infomercial. Like, we used to have a mutual agreement with the Kardashian Jenners that they manipulated the news cycle, and then we would go to their show to see the behind the scenes of all of the drama of those headlines that they had manipulated. Now we go to their show and we're just getting fed the home shopping network of all the Kardashian Jenner brands, and absolutely no drama. Like, you can't even tell what the timeline is on their show, much less you see all of the things they cut out of the show that we know happened because it was in the headlines. So it just feels absolutely like we're being sold something and not compelling. Scott's not there. There's no comedy. There's no drama. There's no love interests. There's just sell, sell, sell. I mean, this is the home shopping network now for the new age, I guess.
But Kim has never been this damn small.
I've seen a couple of videos about this topic. So who benefits from Kim making this drastic change? Kim and capitalism. Think about if this is setting the body type standard, as Kim has done previously with setting the body type standard, then what can she sell you on your way down to your goal weight? She can sell you multiple Skims outfits for the various sizes on the way down, probably different workout gear or other things. I mean, capitalism really benefits from this like journey to thinness if anyone decides to go on that journey. And this comes on the heels of a mass disabling event where people did not have access to gyms for a very long time. If you even were someone who worked out all of the time, your gym was probably closed from a year to 2 years. And she can sell you outfits, workout gear, shakes, whatever, on your way down to that goal body weight. And that's her plan. Similarly, I've seen the trend of the micro mini coming back to runways and into fashion. And who benefits from that? Not us. This is not for us. This is for capitalism, because setting this as a goal, as a body type, sells you a lot of product on your way to get that micro mini skirt and feel good in it. I think anyone who lived through the 2000s already had a trauma response when they saw this micro mini and others like it becoming more into fashion, because they know what is on the heels of that. And it's a lot of disordered eating and capitalism benefiting and ruining the lives of young women.
Hearing Kim talk about taking the baby bar is really interesting, because obviously she's not in a position now that she could practice law, but she wants a better knowledge of like how the law works and how the judicial system works. But recently I found out about the 7 mountains, which is like, I think that's evangelical or like Hillsong, but then they also have that 7M entertainment dance cult on TikTok, which is like kind of part of it. But the 7 mountains are arts and entertainment, influence, government, media, family, home. I forget. It's like all of this stuff that you're seeing now Kim really stepping into. Like, yes, Kanye ran for president, but she didn't really like endorse him outside of like, he's my husband. But with this new mayoral endorsement for LA, it seems like a weird fit. Like, if Kim isn't this person, then why is she promoting someone who is anti-abortion, quote unquote tough on crime, and anti-homelessness after we've just had a pandemic and the homeless population is really growing? And he's a billionaire also, so it's just but it seems like a weird fit, and that's someone that she's promoting to her 300 million Instagram followers or whatever. So she's obviously trying to be more involved behind the scenes with politics as well, which, isn't super new, but it's just interesting to see like how she's kind of edging into this, maybe unknowingly, but it just seems interesting since I found out about that. I'm seeing like the connections.
All of the pillars that like drive American media.
Do you remember a few months ago when there was that TikTok group, 7M Entertainment, that some people thought was a cult and everybody was kind of looking into it? And I was like, what does 7M stand for? Apparently that stands for 7 mountains, and that's the 7 mountains of influence of America. This is this thing that evangelicals kind of came up with, the 7 mountain mandate. So basically it's this conservative movement to influence media. I know I've gotten some pushback on this, but Chris has admitted that she's an evangelical, and maybe Kim directly isn't, but she is influenced by Chris, who is pulling the strings for that family, let's be honest. So when you look at all of the things that Kim is infiltrating, this big plan that she has, look at these 7 mountains. Like, is this more of a conservative ideal of infiltrating family, religion, education, business, arts and entertainment, media, and now government? Because whether or not we want it to happen, Kim is a reality star. She has seen the doors open for reality stars getting into public office. And I think she's been angling herself for a long time to move into a more political realm with the work that she's been doing, taking the baby bar, learning about the law, but also her endorsement of Rick Caruso. So when you're looking at this photo shoot and thinking one of the last mountains she has to conquer is government, it kind of makes sense that she would angle herself more towards whiteness and all-American USA kind of persona, right? I'm just saying, when I look at this list, it almost looks like a checklist of all the things that Kim is trying to conquer. Like, her family obviously is a huge part of her success, and she really pushes for a family agenda. Religion, her mom has a church. Education, I mean, look at the Donda School. I wouldn't be surprised if Kim came out with her own educational program of some kind. Business, they have conquered all forms of business. Arts and entertainment, obviously. Media, they manipulate the media and influence the media every single day. And now government is the last on the checklist.
I went out for a stroll in my garden and then casually turned the camera around to show us all of this. Like, she's got...
Oh yeah, Kim has a full food garden, like trees, all kinds of veggies, tons of stuff. She also has an underground bunker that's so big that her neighbors had to sue her over it. They are full on evangelical doomsday preppers. Like, I've been calling that out for a while. But yeah, that's what's happening there. And I know a lot of people say like, oh, if I had the money, I would do that too. The thing is they are hoarding the wealth. And there's no trickle down. So none of us are having the money to do that too. You know what I mean? So they don't even pay their fair share of taxes to help out their local community. So it's just like not the same. And this is where I'd also like to point out that Kim Kardashian and Joel Osteen's houses are so identical that the news mixes them up like kind of regularly. That's weird, right?
Is Chris Pratt associated with
He's in
Hillsong?
Hillsong. I heard he was supposed to marry Hailey Bieber.
This Chad Veach is the connection. The Chris Pratt, the Kourtney Kardashian, the Justin and Hailey connection. It's Chad fucking Veach. So why does Hailey have a G tattooed behind her ear? For Chad Veach's daughter who got sick or something. And a bunch of these celebrities have the G behind their ear, which gives Nexium as it is. Chad Veach is the one that Kourtney and Travis flew into Italy to have their Catholic cosplay wedding. They got their marriage officiated by Chad Veach. When Chris Pratt did that interview where he's like, I don't even like people to call me Chris. Like, he's like, my friend Chad and I were golfing. That is Chad Veach. Chad Veach, I feel like, is going to be the next, like, Nexium leader kind of guy. He is too tied in with all of these celebrities, and it's fucking weird, dude.
This is Leonard Leo. He is the co-chairman of the Federalist Society.
And would you look at that? There he is in a picture with Kim Kardashian. Wow, I'm so surprised. And how many videos have I made about Kim and the 7 Mountain Mandate specifically? Probably like 4 videos. I'm telling you, Kim is pulling out this evangelical agenda right under our noses, and she has been for a long time. Her mother's church, her being married to Kanye and his, whatever, preacherhood, her hanging out with Joel Osteen, having pretty much the same house as him. I mean, it's like, it's all there. The proof is in the pudding.
And believe the same thing. We think you guys would be good friends. It was definitely an arranged marriage.
It's the Hillsong of it all that really ties it together. Y'all know I made the video last week about Chad Veach. And Chad Veach, Carl Lentz, they're kind of like in that same bubble. They're cool guy Christians, I guess. They're evangelicals that are in the Hillsong multiverse. Now, Carl Lentz was the breakout star of Hillsong. He's the one you've probably seen in the documentaries, and he had a huge scandal, a couple of years ago because he was doing some things that were not very holy, let's just say. And it seems like the combination of that happening and the general public finding out about Hillsong and their unsavory beliefs, let's just say, there was a lot of pushback from kind of everywhere. And that's when Justin and other celebrities kind of shuffled over to the Zoe church with Chad Veach. So not pictured on this graph is Lou Taylor, who also is tied to kind of everybody as well, including Britney Spears and the Kardashians. She's also in this like Hillsong multiverse. If you pay attention to Kanye has posted about her when he was doing his post rants, because she likes to put people in conservatorships, and she uses those conservatorships to make donations to her church in the name of the people who are in the conservatorships, like she did with Britney Spears. Now, Lou Taylor and Kris Jenner are old pals. Lou Taylor has her church, and when Kris Jenner went to open her church, she really leaned on Lou to get like recommendations from people. And Lou Taylor recommended to Kris Jenner another disgraced preacher to help her start that church, who's also in this whole multiverse. The Kardashian element of all of this is very interesting because they're really mixed up in the whole thing. Between Kendall dating Justin and her relationship with Hailey, to Kim and Chris benefiting from the church and telling people to tithe into the church, probably using it as a tax shelter. But it is notable that the people who've officiated the weddings for Kim, for Kourtney, and for Khloe all have been Hillsong related pastors. And recently we've heard blind items how some of the women in this circle have quote unquote passed Justin around. I just feel like when you tie together the Lou Taylor element, everybody having private planes, and everyone being tied into this religious, I don't know what, all the connections are just really weird, and it seems like a perfect storm for someone to get possibly trafficked or abused. So, I don't know. It's all just very fishy.